so often we have a look at these VNRs and just throw them straight in the bin because we can't use them. Hello, Christy Cooper here. I am a TV news reporter, I am a producer, and I've spent a lot of time also working as a chief of staff. And I want to talk to you about VNRs. I am in the car because I've just finished a day at work. I've got a bit of a brain dump because there's some really, really obvious mistakes that get made time and time again with VNRs. And I thought I'm going to make a video because unless you've worked in a newsroom, it can be really hard to understand what is required and why. First, what is a VNR? VNR stands for Video News Release. Basically, it is any video footage that is supplied by an organisation to a newsroom for the purpose of the newsroom running that footage. Sometimes it is a company announcement, sometimes it is promoting a new product, sometimes it might be an exciting new medical procedure or a medical breakthrough. The first thing we're going to do is go, is this newsworthy? If not, I'm not even going to open the VNR. If there might be a bit of news value to it, I'll open it and see how good it is. Now, so often we have a look at these VNRs and just throw them straight in the bin because we can't use them. There are two main elements. There's interviews and there's overlay. A good VNR should have both. Lots of overlay plus interviews. When you're doing interviews, there are some obvious things you need to focus on. One is framing. Don't pay attention to this. I am not a camera operator. I'm a journalist, as I've mentioned. This is not best practice for what you should be doing. They should be shot by a professional camera operator. A professional camera operator should know how to frame. But if you don't, the head should be almost touching the top of the frame, and the bottom of the frame should be probably just above your hips. Have a look at any news report and almost all the interviews are framed the same one. One of the big mistakes people make is eyeline. Your eyeline should not be looking directly at the camera because that's unnatural in a news setting. Again, if you have a look at any news reports, the eyeline will almost always, it should be looking just to the right or just to the left of camera. And if that's too difficult, because it feels quite unnatural sometimes, just get someone to stand there so they can look at and talk to and explain like this. That way it feels like the person is talking to a reporter rather than talking down the lens or talking at you, like I'm doing now. Lighting has to be really nice. Again, if you don't understand good lighting, you're probably not the best person to be shooting a VNR. You should hire someone who is trained to understand these sorts of things. And you don't need to have all the information in your interviews. We just need to have some really strong grabs. So it's best to accompany your VNR with a media release or a fact sheet so that we know absolutely everything that we need to know. And of course, don't forget to put in there too the names and the titles. Probably the most important thing in a VNR is overlay footage. So you need to show plenty of footage of what you are talking about. A really big mistake made with overlay is brand placement. So many times I'll look at this overlay and go, we can't use it because their logo is just so glaringly obvious in front and center of every picture. It looks and feels like an ad. We're not going to run something that looks and feels like an ad. So with your logo placement, make it subtle. Shoot the thing that's actually newsworthy. Your logo can be subtly in the background somewhere, not front and center. Now, on that topic of something that looks and feels like an ad, cut the slow-mo. Do not waste your time with beautiful slow-mo pictures. We won't use them. We can't use them because, again, it doesn't look like news footage. It looks like an ad. It looks staged. It looks fake. It doesn't look authentic. It needs to be shot in real time. If you shoot in slow-mo, I can almost guarantee you the VNR will not get a run. Don't waste your time. You need to have lots of overlay. So if we're shooting a 1:30 package, imagine that each shot we run will go for probably a maximum of 3 seconds before we cut to the next one, and we want plenty of choices. So I would go 30 different shots of good overlays so that the editor has something to choose between. You might just have a spokesperson who is contributing to a bigger debate, in which case we don't need as much from you. But if you're trying to sell the whole story, for example, if you've got a new medical device and you want us to run a story on the new medical device, we're going to need a case study. So we're going to need real people who it's affecting. And if you can get a case study, a real person in your VNR, that's going to significantly improve the chances of us actually running it. So case studies are great. Overlay, really important. Interviews have to be shot well. If you've got all those factors, I'd say you've got a pretty good chance of getting a run if your story is newsworthy. If you want more of this kind of, PR comms tips, an insider's perspective on what's required, leave me a comment, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, and I can do more of this.